Hey everybody, welcome back into the Daily Guards on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Pat McGuire alongside Cleveland Guardians on SI Insider Kate Krackus. Now, remind me if you've heard this before, Kate. It was a weird weekend of baseball for our Cleveland Guardians. They were in Houston. Some good, some bad, some really, really good, some really, really bad. Where do you even begin with a series like that? Was it Tanner Bybee's 1,000-yard stare in the dugout as Matt Festa's giving up runs on 6 pitches? Tanner Bybee, man, like it just seems like the season from hell for that guy, but some of it's his own doing. Some of it is absolutely not his own doing. What another weird weekend of baseball.
Yeah, but the silver lining, the excitement, I guess, if you will, from the weekend was some good performances from guys like Slade Ciccone, Travis Bazzana. We had some couple other good moments. Like Petey Halpin had his first MLB triple, which was nice to see. But above all, I think you really do have to look at what Travis Bazzana did this past weekend and get really excited about what the future holds for that kid. I mean, he goes out there on the 20th, that it was Saturday night, goes 4 for 4 from the plate with 3 runs scored, 2 home runs, 5 RBI. That's what you were looking for. Former #1 overall pick, Pat, and you love to see what you saw from Bazzana. Kind of a breakout game for him for the first time in quite a bit, but, you know, it's funny we talk about, you know, guys trying to step up and fill this void of Jose Ramirez and the guys going down. Since they have over the course of the last 5 games, Bazzana currently sits with a 9 for 18 approach from the plate with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 7 RBI, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Like, the guy is locked in. And I feel like he knows that this is a moment where all eyes are on him. And when you sit with a 1.6 OPS over the last 5 games, you're doing something right.
That is some unbelievable numbers, Cade, from Travis Bazzana. I mean, the kid is, you know, you brought him up and then everyone goes, oh my God, he's like 1 for 11. He's 0 for, I forget what, it was 0 for 11, I believe he started off with a bunch of walks.
11.
Yeah, 0 for 11. And then look at us now, right? Like, where's BetJack at this point? Because, you know, I saw Zach Meisel tweeting back at him too, where you should sit this one out, buddy boy. They tried to make amends and say, did Travis Bazzana, is it too early to call for the AL Rookie of the Year, that sort of thing. But maybe you that one out, BetJack. I think I'll let that one slide for this one. But people saying that he was overhyped, Cade, like, you don't hear too much of that anymore because that sweet left-handed swing, he had basically 2 identical home runs. He went 4 for 4 on a weekend where we saw a lot of offense around the league too. You saw, you know, cycle from Bryce Harper. You saw a whole bunch of home runs from the Phillies.
Awesome.
Travis Bazzana kind of stole the show a little bit. I love that you mentioned Petey Halpin's triple because that was really encouraging. That wasn't sort of really one of those ones where the speed made the triple. He hit that one deep into the into the gap and turned his speed on for a stand-up triple. That could have been an inside the park home run. I had a little bit of shades of Tyler Naquin there. I thought it was kind of interesting where, you know, younger guy, pretty good speed, hits one into deep outfield, but you know, the rest you let his speed take the way. But Travis Bazzana has been the storyline all weekend long. You saw him in the World Baseball Classic where you're like, okay, well, we can see the shine of this guy, right? Like he can come in at big moments like that. But for the Guardians, he's really been the train that the engine that drives this bus.
Yeah, you look at, you know, what he's done this month. I know it's considered a down month from what he had in games past and in months past. But like you look at the past couple of series against some tough squads in Milwaukee and Houston, like he's found a way to impact the game. Although Cleveland, during this spell, what'd they go? They only won 2 games, I think is what it was. They won 1 game in the Milwaukee series and 1 game in the Houston series, if I remember correctly. So it's like, you'd love to see the Guardians come away with these series wins instead of dropping them. However, like part of what we talked about last week with these guys going down with injuries is seeing the youngsters step up and try to fill voids in a time where there's so much uncertainty on what that's going to be put out on the diamond every single night. So to see him come out here and, like I said, hold a 1.6 OPS since the guys in Ramirez, Martinez, and Delauder went down with injuries, it's a positive sign. You look back before that, there was a little spell like from the 6th of June through the 9th of June, he went 0 for 16 from the plate. So to snap spells like that and avoid kind of finding a groove, a negative groove where you're literally just down in a rut over and over and over and over and over again, and to see Bazzana do what he was able to do and go out there and really take over this past weekend, it was exciting. I think what makes him so entertaining is not only is he only 23 years old, but he plays with such a maturity to his game. Like we talk about it. We don't talk about it enough, I feel like. There is a difference between a youngster coming up and playing with his heart on his sleeve in a negative fashion. He's almost the type where you love the energy, you love the excitement, you love how he puts his body on the line, you love how he's so ferocious at the plate, and he has kind of the heart of a lion, but then he can go out there, and if something bad happens, he's not taking it to heart and going, oh, you know, I just suck, I'm the worst, I'm not cut out for this. No, it's like, how can I get better? And his teammates talk about it all the time, like Bybee and Williams, when he would make negative plays defensively or have slip-ups or have errors, he was talking to guys, apologizing, saying, how can I get better? That's what Cleveland needs. And it's funny because we talked about when these guys went down, who was the guy we were going to look towards? And it was, honestly, in my opinion and a lot of people's opinions, Brian Rocchio, because it's understandable by that. However, I think you do take a step back and you go, who's a vocal guy? Who's a guy who like kind of commands the group? I think it partially is Travis Bazzana.
Yeah,
yes, he's got ways to go, but this is great signs that Cleveland's going to be in good hands in a couple of years.
Yeah, you felt like he was going to be a good leader from the moment he got up to the major league level, but now he's kind of thrust into that position as it is. Like, you don't rest on your laurels necessarily as a rookie, obviously. I know he knows that, but being thrust into this position where he has to lead the team as a second baseman. Like, how many teams do you see where the second baseman is kind of the focal point of their entire baseball club? It's obviously Jose Ramirez when he's down. Travis Bazzana has to be that focal point. Jose is undisputably, we're wearing the t-shirts of him, right? Like, he's the leader of this club undisputedly. But when he's on the injured list, not on the field, Travis Bazzana's got to be that type of a guy. Brian Rocchio, you can tell he's got that heart for it as well. But at a certain point, Travis Bazzana's sort of the guy. He carries that brand of being the 1-1 overall pick really close to his chest, I think you could say, where he brings that sort of chip on his shoulder sort of mentality out there on the field all of the time. So when he does have games like that where he goes 4 for 4 and absolutely carries your offense, you can see why he was taken with that number 1 overall pick. But the big thing, though, Cade, is he's pulling the ball in the air. That is the change. I don't know if it's a change necessarily, but that's where the success has been coming for Travis Bazzana. He wants to everyone makes that seem like it's so easy, right? Where Travis Bazzana is talking about you want to drive the ball in the air to the pull side. That's what everyone's trying to do these days. There's no power going to the opposite field. There's not really that much average going to the opposite field necessarily either. But I was super encouraged because those home runs he hit, basically, as I mentioned, almost identical into that Houston Astros bullpen. It was a great sight to see too, but that's the most encouraging thing is he's handling major league type fastballs and being able to pull them out to the pull side.
Yeah, if you look at his hit spray chart for 2026 so far, all of his home runs have been to right field. There's been one that's teetered towards right center field a bit more, but I mean, he's really sending those into right field. You look at his doubles as well, only 3 have gone on the left side of the field this campaign as well. So I mean, that just shows again how he's leaning towards that right field side. Might be something teams start to address and start to recognize a bit more, maybe just lean a bit that direction. But I mean, when you have a guy who's just roping balls down the line, it's nice to see because for Bazzana, like his speed takes over sometimes, and that's what makes him dangerous because his base running run value sits in the 92nd percentile. When that guy gets on base, you have to be scared of what he's going to be able to do. He can steal bases, he can fly around him quickly, he can turn a single into a double like Jose Ramirez can. He can probably turn a double into a triple. We're looking at just one hit on the campaign for Bazzana. I'm excited to see what he can turn through the rest of the campaign. Like, will we see him get upwards of 20 home runs? Will we see him get over 20 doubles? Will we see him maybe get a couple more triples under his belt? I mean, this guy has great composure at the plate, too. Like, we're seeing that in the sense of his chase percentage is in the 83rd percentile, and his walk percentile is in the 80th. So, like, we're seeing some really, really good metrics that show that this youngster is composed, he's poised, and he's locked in at the plate, which is obviously great signs because from there, everything else will come along. So I'm curious to see how he does through the rest of the year, but he's got all the intangibles, all the tools to keep thriving for this team. However, shifting gears, taking a look at another rookie, one guy who I feel like, to be honest with you, Pat, like, he's gotten a lot of attention, but I don't think it's enough. Parker Messick is the guy. Parker Messick is, and I know Travis Bazzana has done a great job this year, and obviously we just talked about it. But when it comes to the Rookie of the Year race, I think a lot of the value has skewed the way of Bazzana. I think Messick's got to be up there more in terms of that value as well because Parker Messick's had a phenomenal campaign.
And you look at it too on the FanDuel Sportsbook, minus money right now for Kevin McGonigal is kind of interesting to me. It's minus 180 as it stands right now. Those odds are obviously subject to change, but Murakami for the White Sox as well. You're going to see him pretty soon. He's plus 550 right now, but Travis Bazzana plus 850, Parker Messick plus 2,000. Like, it's not that far of a stretch to be. If he has a good month of July here, he's way back up at the top there. I really love that value at plus 2,000 because McGonigal, he's having a good year, but the Tigers aren't. So, like, if Messick can be at the top of your rotation, guiding this team towards a division crown, towards a playoff berth, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with him and Travis Bazzana as well, too, because the opportunity is right there in front of him regardless. I think this pitching rotation, just because they've stayed healthy and we haven't seen Parker, sort of thrust into that role that Travis Bazzana has, you sort of see, okay, well, he's the fourth starter. He's kind of third some days, fifth sometimes. He's like the stopper that we have at the end of our rotation if you've got a couple of losses in there. But Parker Messick has been nothing but kind of house money at this point because, earlier in the spring training campaign, we were talking about, is Logan Allen going to be your fifth starter? We weren't really we weren't destined to say Parker Messick is like, oh my God, he's going to have 8 shut piece innings, and that sort of thing this season, take a no hitter into the 9th inning, basically. Never did we expect that. So his rookie of the year odds at plus 2,000, still very low for me. Travis Bazzana as well at plus 850. We got to pour one out for our girl Gab Gowdy though. She had Chase DeLauder at plus 2,200. He's not even on the list anymore. He's way down there at plus 5,500 because of that injury. I know it's going to be difficult to make it back after that injury. So hopefully at the little consolation prize for Gab, we can get the Guardians to get the rookie of the year. But there's another interesting guy we've got to talk about as the Guardians stay out on the road. They're headed to the Windy City. They're going to Chicago to take on the Chicago White Sox. Another guy in that list, though, on the American League Rookie of the Year, Munetake Murakami. He's kind of leading the team right now for the White Sox. He's out for injury, but could the White Sox be for real this year? We're going to talk about it next on the Daily Guards.
The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every goal changes everything. And now FanDuel is giving you a reason to root for every single one. Introducing Every Goal Pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. That's right, more goals means more bets, and all you have to do is turn on your token. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to get started now. 21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DC, Kentucky, Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat, Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org, Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050, Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY, New York. Call 1-877-770-7867, Louisiana.
Hey everybody, welcome back into the Daily Guards on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Pat McGuire alongside Cleveland Guardians on SI Insider, Kay Krakus. We're about to dive into a Guardians versus White Sox series. Never did I think a mid to late June series between the Guardians and the Chicago White Sox would be determining the AL Central standings, Cade. But here we are right now. Gavin Williams going to be back out on the bump. You kind of need a win here after that loss on Sunday against the Houston Astros. Didn't seem like the offense got anything going for us, but if you head to this Windy City against Chicago, normally that's pretty good for the Guardians. You can get the offense going pretty well over there, but you're going to need it in this series.
Oh, certainly so, especially too with that pitching staff. You're going to have to make sure that they're locked and loaded and ready to go because the White Sox, at least on the hitting side of things, are just tearing it up right now. They have done a really good job at rallying some big-time wins lately. Even though it's a young roster and an inexperienced bunch, they've found ways to win. And one of their big guys, Murakami, has just had an incredible campaign. You look at what he's done this year, 20 home runs, just 4 doubles. And if you look at his spray chart for 2026, I mean, the home runs are all over the place. The guy's just done a great job at finding ways to impact the game in different facets. I mean, he holds a 2 WAR, so I mean that alone shows just how impactful he's been. Hasn't played though since May 29th due to injury, so curiosity sits on when this guy's coming back here soon. But Murakami, I mean, what a talent he is. I'm super excited to see how he comes back, if he comes back here soon and continues to play well. But the rest of this team, even without Murakami, have got so much talent. I mean, you look at the Chicago White Sox's numbers this season. They're second place in the American League, 39-37 record. And then you go through some of their guys who are just hitting the ball really well right now. Like OPS-wise, I mean, we're looking at some of these guys sitting above a 900 at this moment in time. Like, I know Murakami's on that mark above 900, but Grichuk's at a 900 mark as well. Miguel Vargas is at over 800. Colson Montgomery's over 800. I mean, this team just, like, it's a young core because the guys you just mentioned right there, outside of Grichuk, I mean, they're all 23, 24, 25, 26 years old. And so, yes, they have a lot of power behind those swings, but, like, the catch with this team, too, is that they strike out a lot. So you might be able to get them chasing a lot of stuff, especially being young. And if you can go out there, take the first game of the series, you can set yourself up nicely.
Absolutely. I think this team has a lot of similarities to the Detroit Tigers, to be honest with you, because, a lot of power, a lot of strikeout, but it felt like the Tigers, they sort of all arrived at the same time. Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, all of those guys. Seems like the White Sox sort of like banded them together at the last minute, right? There's a couple international signings. Kay that there is starting tonight. They brought him back from like Japan, I believe it was, where he was pitching overseas for quite a while, and that sort of thing where it's not necessarily scrap heap sort of situation, but Randall Grichuk, he's been bounced all around the league. He's sort of a good defensive fourth outfielder, that sort of thing, but he's leading your team basically he's kind of the leader. You can't necessarily say he's leading them in WAR, obviously, but like he's like the sort of leader of this team, the old head on the roster, I guess you could say. But this White Sox team, we're going to ask Carlos Baerga about it on Wednesday, but sometimes when you get young teams like this, they don't know what they don't know, right? Like they're kind of just playing with house money at this point. Like Montgomery in there when they had the walk-off, what was that, like 10 days ago, I think it was?
Yeah.
I mean, this team is just, they love playing together, and it just feels like they love going out there on the field for each other, and I think that goes a long way. Jeff Passan talked about it yesterday where something that gets lost in all of this StatCast, all of these analytics, like I know that's kind of the bad word in baseball nowadays is analytics, but when a team like the White Sox can gel together and they play really well together, that is really a difficult thing to beat. And I understand, they're 40-39, I think it is. You look at them, they're fifth. There's 5 teams above 500 in the American League. So it's not like they're running away with the AL Central. It's not like they're running away with the American League. They're only a game behind the Guardians right now. But Cade, you look at them, 40-39, a game below 500 for the Chicago White Sox. It's not where I thought they would be. Like Jack O'Rourke called it preseason, where this White Sox team, they're definitely for real. Like they're not sort of like a flash in the pan necessarily. Yeah. Only a game behind 500. It's not necessarily like the greatest record you'll see, but the way that they're playing is good baseball.
Yeah, I mean, like they've just got, again, we go back to it. There's a lot of the makeup similar to the Guardians. Like they play guards ball to an extent. They've got a bunch of young guys just trying to fill gaps and play well. And like Junior Perez, they called him up a couple of days ago to get a chance in the big league squad. And he played, I think it was 4 games, and in his second game he hit a home run. It's like they're just getting guys to buy into what they're building, and it's working really well. Like I think my favorite one to look at, obviously, out of the bunch is Brain Montgomery, because he obviously had just that insane Linsanity moment where he walked things off. What was it? Was it in his debut, Pat? I can't remember.
Yeah, in the debut.
I mean, it's just unreal. Like, and since then, like, yeah, he got a home run in 3 RBI that game. Hasn't left the yard since, but has 3 doubles since then as well. He's got 9 total hits over the course of the last, 13 days. I mean, the guy's, yes, kind of returned back down to earth to an extent, but that's fine when you're winning games. Like they're 5-6 in that realm. There's a chance though, like I talked about, like if you can have good series here from Parker Messick, from Travis Bazzana, from some of those other young guys, get Petey Halpin back out there a little bit more to see what he has to offer. If they can come out there and just take over here, that's a perfect way to punch the White Sox right in the mouth and then hold this lead and try to get back above the American League Central standings and just take a run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the FanDuel Sportsbook, the Guardians still far and away the favorite. They're minus 130 right now as you look on FanDuel. But, the White Sox, they're definitely a challenger for you, though, because June 20th, I didn't think they'd be here. They're 39-37. They're actually 2 games above 500. But, basically only a game back from the Guardians at this point. I know the Guards struggled a little bit early in that sort of mid-April sort of swoon, but the White Sox, they do seem like they're for real. I think if Gavin Williams goes out there, he could have a really good game tonight. I think he's going to go 7 and probably 8 strikeouts, that sort of thing, because the White Sox, like we talked about, they do strike out quite a bit. Hopefully, Gavin just avoids those walks, as we always talk about. Hopefully, he avoids those walks. This is a young team, so I think you can probably get them to chase a little bit. But do you think this starting rotation, Gavin Williams, still up there as the ace, obviously? Tanner Bybee, he'll be back out on the mound in this series as well, but you saw him on Friday. We got to get to this real quick, too. The 1,000-yard stare from Tanner Bybee. Do you think the bullpen can hold up long-term, though? Because these starters, it seems like they're doing their job. But when you've got Tanner Bybee just completely beside himself in the dugout in Houston, doesn't make for good news.
Yeah, that was a tough game for Bybee because he did give up a couple of runs, and then it immediately turned to the bullpen. And from there, it was Festa gave up runs, Espino gave up runs. I think Sobrowski came back and gave up runs as well. So it's like it's all kind of all over the place at the moment in terms of what we're seeing, because some games the pitching staff looks really strong, other games the bullpen doesn't, other games the starting rotation doesn't. And to be honest with you, Tanner's done a great job. I've said it all year long. I'm not like the biggest Tanner Bybee stand in the world, but I'm going to respect game as game, and he's done a great job at holding his own throughout most of the campaign. And he said it in post-game interviews. Like, he's maybe had 2 actually bad games all year long. Like, when you're a starter, you're looking to go out there and keep yourself off the board, obviously, to scoreless. But 1, 2, 3 runs, like that's not a bad spot to be at because your offense should be able to put up numbers like that as well. However, Cleveland's has just been very streaky this year. I look at Gavin Williams, and again, he's a guy I've been somewhat concerned about because he's very inconsistent as of late, and his ERA is back up near towards a 4 mark, and over the course of his last, I think it's 8 starts, yeah. So his last 8 starts since the start of the month of May. And again, it's a small sample size, I understand that, but over the course of the last 8 starts, he holds a near 5 ERA, a 4.84. That's not where you want to be by any means because he's given up 50 hits to 50 walks, 27 runs, 26 earned, 9 home runs, 11 walks. He's almost given up more home runs than he has walks, and I know that that's the conversation most of the time surrounding him. But the walks really haven't been an issue lately. It's been in that heavy hit percentile. Like he's allowing a lot of shots, so I'm curious to see how he handles this White Sox roster. Like this, though, to me presents the challenge where this is a White Sox group who's so young that they can be capitalized on. Like they can be exploited by Gavin Williams. So I'm curious to see how it does. A guy we also have to mention really quick, Khalil Watson. He's going to have a good series because he's a young guy who's somewhat on the chopping block because,
sure.
I mean, what was he? He's 7 strikeouts in his first 10 at-bats. Again, small sample size, but he's someone, too, like they called up and hope to get a spark from. Still hasn't gotten a knock yet.
Yeah.
Cleveland's in an interesting spot because they're trying out a bunch of youngsters. They're trying to get a starting rotation locked down long-term. They're trying to figure out their identity with no Ramirez, DeLauder, and Martinez on the field. But I think at the end of the day, again, we have to take a step back, have some patience with this because this is a work-in-progress period for Cleveland.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. This young team, if I told you that we were at this record right now in the middle of June, I think we would take it. I know there's going to be we talk about make or break all the time. I was talking about that Detroit Tigers series. I was talking about that 2-week stretch, 2 weeks ago to begin June. This feels like another one where if you get swept by the Chicago White Sox here or you lose 2 out of 3, you are not really going to be feeling good after that series in Houston as well, too, because I think for all that we saw with the offense on Saturday in Houston, I think there was a lot of warning signs with that pitching in Houston as well, too, because I think, giving up 4 on Sunday is not really the biggest, the end of the world there, I guess you could say, but there were some cracks I thought I saw in the foundation a little bit of that pitching. So hopefully they can continue to keep it together. Gavin Williams back onto the bump. That's who you would want in this sort of situation, right? Like team that strikes out a bunch, guy that can strike out a bunch. So hopefully Gavin can turn in a vintage performance tonight for the Cleveland Guardians, maintaining that lead over the Chicago White Sox in the AL Central. Cade, the last thing we got to talk about, too, before we get over it is Khalil Watson. We talked in the outfield as well, but George Valera, a little bit of a surprise to me. He cleared waivers, so back down to AAA he'll go.
Yep.
If he does accept that outright, he could ask for his release, I do believe, but correct me if I'm wrong there. But
no, I don't think he can because
not out of options.
Yeah,
yet.
no,
Okay.
so he'll
got one
just
last
be
option.
Automatically pushed down to AAA.
Yeah, back down to AAA he goes. So we'll see him back down there in the Columbus Clippers. I know they don't necessarily want to give up on a guy like that, but we talked with, some of our guys, Justin Latta and Jeff Ellis. They're not really that impressed with him. It's not like he's been on the top prospects list for quite a while there. He's got a ton of power, obviously, but the swing and miss is a little bit too high out there. Not a great defender as well, but he'll be back down there at the AAA level. We're going to see a couple more outfielders. I got to imagine Cooper Ingles going to be up here pretty soon too, because we talked about it last week. The way he was hitting down there in AAA, we are. Good friend of the show, Hannah Wilford, was able to talk to Cooper down there in AAA. He's really trying to, as guys down there, they always have to be like, okay, well, I'm feeling great, but also I'd like to be in Cleveland. He's got to strike that balance too. So we had a really interesting conversation Hannah had from talking to Cooper Ingle. We'll listen to that right here.
I am joined by one of the Guardians' top prospects, Cooper Ingle. And Cooper, Thursday's game was just unreal. You went 4 for 4 with 3 home runs and a double. What is leading you to playing some of your best baseball right now?
Yeah, I think I'm seeing the ball really well right now. And just, coming to the field each day and having the same routine and plan that I do every day. It's fun to see a little bit of that success.
Now, in addition to catching, you've been seeing some reps in the outfield. What has that transition been like, and how important is that versatility, do you think, to Cleveland?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I played a little bit of outfield in college, so, I have a little bit of feel for it. I think I'm, athletic enough to be out there and play it and not just be able to catch. I think, that just gets me on the field in other ways where, DHing, you're kind of, sitting here, not involved with the game. I think left field can help you, keep your brain, activated and locked in at all moments. But yeah, I mean, ultimately the big difference is it's a lot more running. So, the strength staff, we're doing, extra sprint work and stuff like that, but it's been good so far.
And what areas do you think you could help Cleveland the most if you were to get that opportunity with the Guardians this season?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get the ultimate competitor. Like, all I want to do is win and just be able to put together good at bats and make it hard on pitchers at the big league level. And then, get to know those guys that are in the big leagues with us and get to know what makes them tick and their arsenals and stuff like that, and just ultimately help them win games.
He's such a great guy too, because he's got that confidence down there, but also stays humble as well down there in the minor leagues. Cooper Engel, he should be up in the major leagues pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll see if he is. He's a guy who's kind of continuing just to perform game in and game out. I know he's had a couple of rocky series as of late, but when you can go out there and smack 3 home runs in one game, you're going to be putting yourself right back on the radar of the front office to give you a promotion. So I'm curious to see how he does over the coming series here, and obviously there's going to be a bright spotlight on him, especially if Martinez, Ramirez, and DeLauder remain on that injured list. But we'll see, because I think this is the week where they're going to be determining if DeLauder's coming back or not, what the next steps are for him. Obviously Martinez and Ramirez are still weeks out from even discussing that, but an interesting time period for the Guardians. Hopefully they can pull off a series win here on the road against Chicago.
Yeah, a win tonight would do a whole bunch of justice as well too. They head over to Chicago. Guardians slight underdogs on the road against the White Sox. I would actually like to take them on that money line. We're not going to do a parlay for today, but I will take that money line bet over there on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Cade feeling pretty good about it as the Guardians head over to Chicago. For Cleveland Guardians on SI Insider, Cade Krakus, I'm Pat McGuire. We'll see you tomorrow.